Today, we're going to break down a story that starts with a single sentence that honestly sounds impossible. It's a really powerful lesson about kindness and community and how one small act can just keep echoing for years and years. Okay, just read that again. My dad ate one goat for 10 years. A man named Yinka actually said this, just in the middle of a normal conversation. It makes absolutely no sense, right? How could that possibly be true? Exactly. That's the question that pulls you in. It's like a riddle. And the answer? Well, it tells us something really amazing about how we're all connected. So let's get into it. Now, to understand the whole 10-year goat thing, we first have to know how the story even came out. It wasn't from some old book or a famous speech. Nope. It came from a simple, random act of kindness. So, the person who heard this story was just driving home from work. He spots a guy he kind of recognizes, Yinka, an air conditioner tech, standing on the side of the road looking totally worn out next to all his heavy tools. The driver just pulls over and says, "Hey, need a lift?" A small thing, right? But that little gesture opened up this massive story. So they're in the car, and Yinka is just so grateful. He says, not many people would stop for a stranger like that. And then he says it. Your gesture reminds me of how my dad and the whole family ate one goat for 10 years. Just like that. That small offer of a ride unlocked a family story that was a decade in the making. And this, right here, is the heart of it all. This story isn't really about a goat. It's about Yinka's father and this one totally wild decision he made years and years ago in his village. Yinka said that in his community, the word people used for what his father did was insane. It wasn't just generous. It was so over the top, so unexpected, that it just didn't seem logical. It was almost crazy. But it all came from a place of real love. Okay, so here's the situation Yinka's dad was facing. The village was going through a really tough time, a great hunger. People were struggling to find food. Now, Yinka's father wasn't a rich man. He was a cleaner. Pretty much the only thing of value he owned was one single goat. So he had a choice. Keep it for his own family or share it with everyone. And here's the kicker. People were telling him not to do it. They were like, "Man, keep that goat for your own family. You need it." But he didn't listen. He butchered his only goat, and he shared the meat with every single person in that village. He made sure nobody went hungry that day. He gave up the only thing he had for the good of everyone else. All right, so he gave the goat away. How does that turn into eating it for a decade? Well, this is where the story gets really incredible. That one single act of sacrifice started a chain reaction that nobody could have ever seen coming. The payoff for that one act of kindness was just huge. The villagers, they never forgot what he did. So every year after that, whenever they butchered an animal, they would bring a piece of it to Yinka's father's family. That one goat was returned to them bit by bit, year after year. It created this living legacy, a bond in the community that just kept going. And this is where it gets real. As Yinka's telling this story in the car, he's tearing up. Because the story of the goat wasn't just some feel-good village memory. It had real life-or-death stakes for his own family many years later. So years after the whole goat thing, Yinka's older brother got really, really sick. His father, still just a cleaner, had no money for the hospital bills. But that network of goodwill, that community he had built all those years ago, it kicked in. The very same people he fed, the ones who kept that tradition of sharing alive, they all came together. That legacy of kindness paid the hospital bill and saved his son's life. In a way, they were still eating the goat. So what do we do with a story like this? Yinka's incredible story isn't just about his family. It's a lesson for all of us about the powerful and often invisible rewards of giving selflessly. You could call it generational kindness. It's this idea that when you give something that's a true sacrifice, you're not just doing one good deed, you're planting a seed. And the harvest from that one seed can end up feeding your children and maybe even their children for years to come. When you look at it, you can see this really powerful cycle. It starts with a sacrifice, giving what you have, even if it doesn't feel like much. That single act then inspires this lasting network of kindness. And eventually, all that goodwill comes back to you as a harvest of abundance, usually right when you need it the most. And that's really the big takeaway from all of this. It's a piece of wisdom from the story itself. It's a call to think bigger than just ourselves, to think beyond what we need today, and to think about the legacy our actions are leaving for the people who come after us. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Your goat, it probably isn't a literal animal. Maybe it's your time, your knowledge, Maybe it's just a moment of kindness for a stranger on the side of the road. What's the one small thing you can share today that might just keep on giving for the next 10 years?